All right. I would like to welcome everybody here tonight. My name is Kelly Burke. I am the mayor of Leesburg and a former Loudoun County public school teacher. I will be the moderator for tonight's forums. And I promise I will not say, that's what's going on when I was teaching. But it is our responsibility as citizens to learn about our candidates, asking for our support and our vote. Events like these help us to open our minds and hear what the candidates have to say. We all know how important our school representatives are to our children's success. It is very important that while we may agree or disagree with the candidate's position, we maintain a respectful and civil discourse. And I expect nothing less from everybody here tonight. I'm sure that won't be a problem at all. I want to thank the PTAs from Harper Park, Cool Springs, Tolbert, and Smarts Mill for putting on tonight's event. The format for tonight is that there will be a 2-minute open statement from each candidate, and then we will ask questions, and they will alternate the candidate, and they are for 2 minutes. There will be a closing 2-minute closing remarks also. I'm going to start this with a flip of the coin to determine who will begin first. So last time I picked the person closest to me, so this time I'm going to pick the person farther away from me. And before I make the mistake I did last time, let me introduce the candidates to you. The Catoctin candidates for school board are Carrie LaBelle and Megan Lockwood. So, Carrie, I'm going to ask you head or tails? Head. Okay, starting with heads. Let's see if I can catch it. And it ended up being tails. Good, so that means that you will start. Megan will start. Go ahead, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening. I'm grateful to our hosts, particularly here at Harper Park, for the opportunity to engage in conversation with you tonight. I'm Megan Lockwood, and I'm running to represent the Catoctin district on the school board. I'm a Northern Virginia native, attended Fairfax County Public Schools, and I've lived in Loudoun since 2006. I'm a full-time substitute teacher at a middle school right in our Catoctin district, and a parent of 4. My oldest is a graduate of Briarwoods, and my youngest is currently in 1st grade. I've been an LCPS parent for 15 years, and we still have a long way to go in our family with this school district. As both an educator and a parent, every decision the school board makes greatly affects my family as well as yours. I'm dedicated to making sure that our children receive the best education to prepare them for a successful future as responsible citizens of Virginia, the nation, and the world. As a school board member, I plan to facilitate improved, honest communication between school and home, ensure we are recruiting and retaining the best possible staff with competitive compensation and benefits, examine the budget to make sure we are using our financial resources equitably and wisely, and most importantly, making sure that every student is safe and fully included in their school community while receiving a world-class education. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Carrie.
Hi, I'm Carrie LaBelle. I have been an educator for 50 years, 30 right here in Loudoun. I've taught in every high school and middle school in the county until I retired in 2017. Since then, I've done some substituting, and I continue to do a lot of private tutoring. So I'm well aware of what's going on and where students are in their educational progress in Loudoun County Public Schools. I don't like what I'm seeing. Kids are falling behind. They're having trouble understanding what's going on. This bothers me. This is not the school system that I worked for 30 years. So I decided I'm going to run. I'm back, and we need to fix things. I'm a fixer by nature. I've been a special ed teacher for all these years. I know how to fix things. I know lots of remedial programs. I know lots of activities, and I know we can make Loudoun better. So here I am, and I'm thankful for all of you coming this evening and for all the schools that have invited us here. Thank you so much.
Carrie, the next question is for you. What are 2 or 3 strengths of which our district can be proud, and why do you see these as strengths?
First of all, I know that our taxpayers are very, very invested in their children's education. That is critical because parents are the students' lifetime mentors. No matter where they go in the world after this, their parents will support them, even if their parents aren't there, because I will tell you, when I do something, I can still hear my mother's little voice in my ears. The other thing that's very, very important is that our taxpayers are willing to support their schools with the money that we need to give them the world-class education that our students deserve.
Thank you. Megan, what are the 2 or 3 strengths of which our district can be proud, and why do you see these as strengths?
I see one of our largest strengths being our staff. Our teachers, our educators, our principals. We have a huge, talented pool of people that want to help children, and they are our best resource, and we haven't always used them wisely. We have not appreciated our teachers and our staff, and we've had some retention problems, major problems because of it. But I think that if we start valuing our staff, that would just increase their benefit to everyone, to the students, to the community. Another thing that I think our district does well is with citizenship. We have a lot of students that go into military. My son is right now at the Criminal Justice Academy in Fairfax. We produce firefighters. I met a young lady at the chorus concert last night talking to me about how she's training to become an EMS. So I think that we do have a good reputation for producing good citizens, and we have good teachers. That being said, we do have a lot of work to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Megan, do you feel that technology is being appropriately used at the elementary level with Loudoun County Public Schools? Why or why not?
Quite honestly, no. My first grader has a Chromebook that she brings home every day, and I have no idea why she has a Chromebook, quite honestly. It's a tool. Our technology is a tool to help with learning, but it shouldn't be replacing learning or be the sole form of it. There is nothing wrong with incorporating technology in the classroom. And in fact, we should, because that's how they will learn to be part of our society. But they still need to learn reading, writing. They still need to learn math with manipulatives, hands-on things that you can't replace with a computer. I understand the older students, particularly 4th and 5th graders who are going to be going into middle school, having more access to learning how to use the technology appropriately. But I really feel that we've come a little too far with kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, incorporating some of the technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie?
I feel that very definitely computers, the Chromebooks, need to be limited use only. They are being misused in the higher grades, and a recent study has found that extended screen time, that students as young as kindergarten are developing autism and ADHD from use. It is exciting their reticular activating system so that when they sit in classrooms, the reticular activating system was part of my master's degree program paper. But it excites it to the point where they can't sit still. They can't learn. They can't listen. It is not penetrating if they do not have a screen in front of them. So I think we need to limit the amount of screen time they have. I think we need to have a lot more control over what teachers are using it for, both at the lower grades and at the high school level. And I think that all of this needs to be taken care of before students can move forward into their career paths, into their studies, and leave Loudoun County as a successful student.
Well, thank you. You ladies, your answers are so much briefer than the other group. Thank you. We started, this is for Carrie to start. We started the school year with over 100 open teacher positions. What do you think needs to be done to recruit and retain highly qualified educators? And do you think that there needs to be a look at the salary levels?
I believe that salary is not the issue. I did a study of this. Do you know that our middle level teachers earn more than the highest level teachers in surrounding counties? Our salary is not the issue. It is administrative support. It is teachers feeling that they are targeted. They are afraid to report things that are wrong with the school, and they need our support. Once this gets out, we will start attracting teachers who are qualified, much more qualified than some of the people that are in this program this evening, people who actually have a degree in education.
Thank you. Megan?
Before I address this, I would like to, autism is not caused by screens. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I won't talk anymore.
I have autism.
Okay.
So does my husband.
That's all right. Wait. We're not going to do that. You will be asked questions and you'll answer the questions.
Yes. I'm sorry. As far as teachers go, yes, it's more than salary. It is administrative support. It's the way that the principals interact with their staff. I am very, very fortunate to have a very supportive administrative team that I absolutely adore at Blue Ridge, and that's why I'm working there. I'm on my third child through that school, and I knew that that's where I wanted to be. I've been all over Loudoun County, and I believe that the community spirit that we have at Blue Ridge is fantastic, and I want to see that model spread all over the county. And one of the issues is, how teachers feel. How they feel that they are being treated when people accuse them of indoctrinating instead of teaching. They are scared to interact with parents because they don't know who's going to be upset and if they're going to lose their job over it. So instead, we have a lack of communication. There has been an absolute breakdown in trust and communication between the teachers, the parents, and the students. It's not working, and we need to get back to where we can work together. Parents and teachers should not be adversaries. They should be working together for the benefit of the students. And the only way that they can do that is through open, honest communication. So I feel that once we do that and we're improving the morale of our teachers by making them feel appreciated, making sure that they are compensated accordingly, that we will attract more talent. Thank you.
Thank you. Megan, how can schools address the learning needs of the diverse student population?
Oh, that's a good question. We are a multicultural democracy, and attacks on our public schools are attacks on our multicultural democracy. Everybody deserves to feel safe, feel included at school, and deserves to receive an equitable education. We do have Title I schools in our districts, this district too, Catoctin as well, with high populations of minority students. And they're not receiving the same level of services that some of the schools in other areas are. And we need to figure out why, and we need to address the situation. We are not trying to hold anyone back. Let me make that clear. We are not holding anyone back for the benefit of anyone else. But we need to assure that those who started out with disadvantages, whether it be economic, whether it be extra needs that they have, that they all are able to receive the same level of access and the same programs. And that sometimes means giving an extra boost or extra help to those that need it. That is what we are looking for in the end, is for everyone to receive an equal outcome, which sometimes requires more effort in certain areas. So I believe we need to make sure that we are spending our financial resources and our staff resources in a way that will make sure that all of our students receive the top-notch education they deserve.
All right, Terry, can you repeat the question, please? Sure. How can schools address the learning needs of the diverse student population?
I believe that there are many ways to teach. There is something called universal design for learning. It takes and it looks at what the student's learning style is, and the teacher has to match that student's learning style. And then it looks at how the student can demonstrate mastery. And then the teacher needs to provide a method that matches the student's demonstrated preference. So at that point, you have to have very, very selective, very professionally prepared learning plans that allow students to learn in the manner that they do best. Now, this should be for everybody, not just a certain select few. Those students that can move forward more quickly than others should be able to do that. Those students that need the extra boost should be getting that. And again, it needs to be from a live person, not a computer. We need actual teacher interaction with students to be able to assess what their problems are and decide what they need to perform to their best.
Thank you. Terry, the next question starts with you. Thousands of sexual assaults on K through 12 campuses are reported each year in Virginia. What needs to be done within the Loudoun County Public Schools to prevent sexual assaults on campus?
I believe that every student, every person needs to have dignity, respect, protection in our schools. I think that absolutely there should be no acceptance of bullying. Anything that is considered bullying should be dealt with immediately. We need to provide more observation and education to students as to what is considered bullying and what is considered a sexual assault. I found through the years that kids don't realize that a lot of what they're doing is considered sexual harassment. So we need to be very, very clear about our policies. We need to work with teachers and with students and educate them and realize that this will not be tolerated.
Yeah, we need to have zero tolerance and open communication, which means that when there are incidents, that the appropriate authorities and parental figures are notified in a timely manner and with full information. I've experienced some issues with my older son where we hear that there's been an assault or there's been an ambulance and we hear nothing from the school. So we need to make sure that our parents are being informed about what's going on. I find it interesting, and I agree that we need more information about bullying, but I find it interesting because, social and emotional learning has been under attack. We had a social emotional learning lesson this morning in homeroom that was about bullying and harassment, how to recognize them, what counts as it. In 2 more weeks, we have another social emotional learning lesson, which is on cyberbullying and staying safe on the internet. These are lessons that, quite frankly, some adults could use. Definitely our children need it. And this is what we're talking about as, a problem, having these lessons. If we called them life skills or if we called them common sense, would that make it more appealing? Because that's what it is. And I agree we need more of it. We need to educate our young women on their rights to say no, how to use their voices and not be intimidated, and to speak up for themselves. I have 2 daughters, and boy, I hope I've taught them to speak up. But we need zero tolerance and open communication. Thank you.
Megan, what are your thoughts on the current dress code?
I don't love it, but it isn't my body. You know, I see some of the girls come in things I would quite frankly never let my daughters out of the house in. You know, but that isn't my choice for what they get to wear. I can decide what my daughter wears. She gets to decide what she wears. I don't get to decide for everybody else. And we should be, you know, people that say, oh, it's a distraction to the boys. Are the boys that aggressive or disrespectful of women that they can't stand being around them unless they're, you know, fully dressed from head to toe? I didn't raise my boys that way, to be distracted by a little bit of skin. Does that mean that I like it? No. Do I think it's tacky? Yeah. I wish some of them could, quite frankly, see themselves wandering around in what looks like nothing more than bras and pajama pants. But that's their decision, that's their parents' decision. And we can't at a school level, unfortunately, on individual schools, dictate that policy. That it does come from the school board. So it is something that we can explore in the future. But I know that when I see it in my school, there's nothing I can say about it because that's the current policy. I can't go tell them that that shirt that says, I love hot moms, which technically passes the test, that it's inappropriate and they shouldn't be wearing it, because that's the overall policy. So do we need to re-examine it? Maybe. But we need to re-examine it for things that are going to be equitable for all sexes and not just targeting our women. Thank you.
I think that we do need to take a firm stand on dress codes. Nowhere else outside of the school system, every business you go to has a dress code. No matter whether it's lenient or whether it's formal, every business has a dress code. We are supposed to be preparing our children for the real world, for work in the real world. There is no reason that they have to come to school in pajamas or bra tops. They need to learn, especially at the upper levels, what is expected of them in the real world. So yes, the school board needs to re-examine dress codes. It needs to be followed through schools throughout the county, no exceptions. It can't be that one school says it's okay and another school says it isn't. We need to communicate that to parents as an expectation. And we need to point out, again, I'll say it, nowhere else but in the school are you allowed to wear whatever you want to wear. Maybe AOL, maybe Google. I will take that back a little bit, but no, we need to have a dress code in our school system.
Bill, this is the first question for you. What are your thoughts on collective bargaining within the school system?
I got up and spoke against collective bargaining at one of our school board meetings because we don't need it. We had a very cordial relationship between our school administration and our school board. Teachers were funded with whatever the school board asked for from the Board of Supervisors. We do not need a large organization coming into our school system and telling us how we should behave with one another. I think that having said that, they still went ahead and spent $3.3 million to hire 13 experts come in at the administration level to tell us how to work with collective bargaining. We don't want to spend that money there. We have other places that really, really need help, need money. It shouldn't be done in collective bargaining. If teachers have a problem, they need to come to the school system, to the school board, to their representatives, and we can talk about it. It's not like we're not listening.
I don't feel that that's accurate, that we have been listening. We aren't listening. That's why the teachers have requested to form a union. Say we don't need it, the teachers feel that they need it. So what does that say if the teachers feel that they need collective bargaining because they aren't being heard? In addition, police have unions. We all know the autos have unions. The NFL has collective bargaining. Are we really saying that the NFL is more important than our teachers? That they don't have the right to come and say, we're not happy with this, we need something different, and help in negotiating? If this is what our teachers want and they vote for, then we should allow it. That's all, we should allow it if it's what the teachers want. Okay.
Megan, currently cell phones and personal device policies are made at the school level. Do you support a district-wide personal device policy? And if in support, what would you do to see included in that policy?
Fantastic question. I love it.
I'd like to take credit for it.
Yes, I absolutely support a district-wide cell phone policy. And actually, I have been fortunate enough to witness it put into action this year. Our school administration decided no more cell phones in classrooms, and I can't tell you how relieved I was. It was such a hassle, and this year, I thought it was going to be impossible to implement. I admit, I was a doubter. I thought there's no way we're gonna get the cell phones away from these kids. Parents are gonna have a fit, understandably, because it is a shame that there are instances in our country, in our world, where students go to school and they don't come home. And so parents like to feel they can be connected to their students. I get it. I feel the same way. But it is a nightmare, the cell phones in the classrooms. And at Blue Ridge this year, it has been amazing. There's been zero tolerance for it. The kids have to leave them in their locker when they come at the beginning of the day, and they can take it back out when they go to school at the end of the day. They can't have it at lunch. It doesn't go around in the halls. And if the administrators see it, it will be taken by the dean and held on to the end of the day. And I think we should be implementing that in every school across the county. There is no reason that they need cell phones in the classroom. If there is an emergency that is that bad, their parents know how to get a hold of the school. They can go to the office and ask to call a parent. We don't need cell phones as the distraction in the classroom.
Thank you. Barry?
I too have been in classrooms where cell phones have been a complete distraction, not just to the students that are using them, but also to the students who are trying to pay attention in class. So yes, I support a school-wide policy on the ban, I guess we could call it, of that of cell phones in the classroom. Obviously, they can leave them in their lockers, but not in the classroom, not during class time. And this is something that needs to be communicated to the parents, to the families, and let them know that there are other ways. If you need to get in contact with your student, or if your student needs to get in contact with you, that there are other ways, more appropriate, that you can achieve that goal.
Okay, the next question is for Carrie to start. During the pandemic, every student was given free lunch. Would you support Loudoun County Public Schools providing free lunches for all students?
No.
And that's it, okay? All right.
No, I don't think that that is a necessary thing. I think that actually a lot of students would prefer not to have free lunch. I know a lot of students bring lunches from home because they don't like the lunches at school. I think that providing free lunch for every student is unnecessary. I think there are students that need the free lunch and need the free breakfast that is also available to them. But I don't think that every student should automatically be given a free lunch. They may not want it. Why are we wasting money on it?
Thank you. Megan?
I think if it's hard for anyone to see the need for free lunch, they aren't really aware of what's going on, particularly in the more rural parts of our county. We have a lot of students with need, and programs like Backpack Buddies, which sends home food on weekends, it isn't doing the job. And we have a lot of students that don't eat. Their parents, may not understand the application process for getting free or reduced price lunches. They may be too ashamed to ask for the help. I agree that a lot of students don't want to eat it, mine and my kids included, because quite frankly, they're terrible. But I think we can, work on the quality of that to make sure that our children have, nutrition that's going to sustain them while they learn, and that no child is going hungry, because they can't focus when they're hungry. My goodness, if you've been in a classroom or been around middle schoolers and they haven't eaten, they will let you know that they have not eaten, believe me. So we don't want hungry students, and quite frankly, we have too many of them. Thank you.
Megan, how should school districts be addressing the rising mental health crisis?
As my favorite principal likes to say, children who are not mentally and emotionally healthy will not be academically healthy. If they are distracted because they're being bullied, because they feel like they're not included, because they have problems at home, who knows the reason, they're not going to perform at their best. And we need to help, because as we pointed out, parents who are the first and children's best teachers aren't at school with them all day. They're not there when kids get teased, when they're bullying, and there's only so much that can be done well after the fact. Our counselors and mental health support teams in the schools are critical on the ground resources that we need in our schools. We need it for children that have gotten into fights. We need it for children that are just emotionally in a bad place, whether it's something that happened at school or not. Having a place to go and someone to talk to is critically important to getting that child back in the classroom so they can focus on their learning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Carrie, no, it's Megan next, right? You would be the last, sorry. I'm sorry, what? You started, okay, what are the,
She didn't answer it.
Right, yeah, I'm reading the question, thank you. How should the school district be addressing the rising mental health crisis?
I think that the school is the first line of defense because they get to see the student all day long. Parents send them off in the morning, don't see them until they get back in the afternoon, and where most of the stress is going to occur is during the school hours. Teachers are the ones who are going to notice first if a student is having problems. You might see a student you know fairly well, they come in, one morning they're not their usual happy self. It's the teacher's job to spot what might be a problem. If they feel that there really is a problem, it is the teacher's responsibility then to pass the information along to a guidance counselor or the mental health team that's there. But we also have a program that the governor is instituting because he is also concerned about the mental health problems. All schools in the state will have access to this program with extra help and extra money coming in to address the problem. So yes, we do need to be aware of mental health problems. We do need to be aware of how they impact the student and the student's learning. And we need to have professionals handling it, and let the teachers, once they've spotted it and done their due diligence, get on with the actual teaching instead of trying to counsel.
Thank you. Karen, what is your thoughts on protecting the most vulnerable youth, the LGBTQ plus community?
I believe that there are gender dysphoric children in this world and that we do need to protect them and see to their needs. That said, we need to have a process for dealing with it, not just helter-skelter. I think I'm gay, I think I'm queer, I think I'm the opposite gender. We need to have a process for dealing with all of this. This is not something that should just be declared out loud one day. They need to have some counseling, and they need to bring in the families on this, because again, the families are the students' lifetime mentors. And if we can bring agreement between the student and the parent and the schools, that is the best thing for all students.
Okay, thank you.
I support our LGBTQ students. Period. I support them being able to be like everybody else. Everybody should be treated the same regardless, should feel the equal dignity, be treated with dignity and respect the same, whether they are a person of color, no matter their gender, their sexual orientation, their language, their mother tongue. All students should be treated the same. And there's been, discussion of, well, are we doing too much? Is it a protected class now? No, they just want to be equal. They just want to be able to go to class and not be insulted in the hallway and have it be okay because nobody wants to say anything. They just want to be like everybody else, feel accepted, fit in, go to classes, do their learning, and not feel singled out. And that is true for LGBTQ students, that's true for students with economic disadvantages, that's true for students of color. And we should be doing what we can to support all of those groups the same.
Megan, we continue to not have enough substitutes to fill positions on a regular basis. Why do you think we cannot fill these positions? And as a school board, what can be done to improve the situation? I think this is very appropriate for both of you.
Yeah, boy, don't I love that question. Well, I mean, part of the issue can oftentimes be some respect. As you know, people like to say that substitutes aren't actually educators, which I would like to see schools that run without them. This is very near and dear to my heart. I have been a long-term sub, but this year I am very happy to be a site-based sub, which means I go to the same school every day and I fill in wherever I'm needed. That could be because the teachers have a medical emergency, because their child is sick, because they have to go into IEP meetings. So it requires a degree of flexibility and the ability to just pop into anything. I could be in one classroom all day, or like today, I could be in 6 different classrooms, teaching a range of subjects. And I do mean teaching, because those of us who are site-based subs, long-term subs, and the subs that we want to keep, the quality subs, they want to follow the teacher's lesson plans and carry on with education so that it doesn't just stop when a teacher is absent. Unfortunately, in our county, we have had a lot of challenges with training. I don't feel we're doing enough training for our substitutes. I would love to see some revisions to our training program, providing more than just a few modules that say, don't touch the kids, here's what to do if a fire alarm goes off. That's pretty much what the training encompasses. And I would like to see us train perhaps even a dedicated substitute corps that can fill in wherever they're needed.
Karen?
I have also been a substitute teacher. That's what I did following my retirement in 2017. And yes, there is not enough training for substitute teachers. And yes, we do need them. I agree, having been there by myself and having needed them myself as a teacher. And I know that there are good quality subs out there. I think that we need more support for substitute teachers. I think that they need more training. I think that they need better pay. And I think that they need to be valued by the staff and recognized at the end of the year, perhaps at an awards ceremony, because you need to feel valued as a substitute teacher. So yes, substitutes are critically important to our community, to our schools, and we need to attract better subs, more qualified people to our cause. People that love children, want to be there, and want to work with teachers.
Okay. And this is Carrie with an update of the Virginia Department of Education policy on chronic absenteeism, which affects school credentialing. How would you propose Loudoun County Public Schools address chronic absenteeism?
This is one of the things that I am very, very aware about. This year, we reported that 17% of our student population are chronically absent. Anything over 10 days is considered chronically absent. We have 98 schools that suffer from chronic absenteeism here. We have a 70% district-wide problem with chronic absenteeism. So we need to get to the root causes. We need to define what is an excused absence and what is not. We need to make it perfectly clear. We need to have consequences for missing more than 10 days. Now, the absenteeism might be because the student has a doctor's appointment, dental appointments, mental health appointments. All of those are acceptable reasons for missing school, maybe not the whole day, maybe just part of the day. We have parents that are working. They don't know whether their child is attending school or not. We need to get on top of these problems and find out what they are and work with parents and work with students and be perfectly clear, because we can't teach a student who isn't there.
Okay, thank you. Carrie, the next question is, what committee are you interested?
Can I answer that?
Oh, I'm
question?
sorry.
No worries.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
No worries. It's been a long day. Chronic absenteeism is a huge problem, and it really was exacerbated, created, whatever you want to call it, by the pandemic. When we got into remote learning, there became this mentality that suddenly being present for learning wasn't necessary, and that got to be a bad habit. I all the time hear students say, well, I can just look on Schoology and see what I missed, or I can just, get the lesson online later, to where it seems it's lost consequence to the students and to some parents of what it means to be physically present in the classroom for the learning. In the year ending in the school year 2022, ended in 2022, at our school, the absentee rate was 10.46%. In the most recent, the school year that just ended, it was 19%. And that is even higher than it was, the year before and the year before that. Our absentee rates keep going up, and we need to put our foot down and say, hey, only valid reasons for missing school. Okay, doctor's appointments, other things. We need to stress the importance to parents and to students about what it means to be present for their education. I know we are also dealing with some mental health issues about school avoidance, and we need to be able to work with those families that are having problems with school avoidance issues. We will work with them, but we need to make it clear that being present in the classroom is critically important to learning.
Thank you. Megan? A parent asks, currently I'm concerned about the Loudoun County Public Schools truly preparing my children for an education beyond Loudoun County Public Schools. Students are allowed to retake tests, there's no finals, and classwork is accepted at any time. How do you feel about this policy?
Not great. Not great. I absolutely understand that. I understand the fear of your child not being prepared for the real world. I deal with that with my kids, wondering, have I done enough? Has the schools done enough? I am not a fan of the retake policy. And let me rephrase, being able to retake a test, okay. I am not agreeing with the floor grade policy, where a student can fail a test, get a 30, 40%, and it gets bumped to a flat 50. So you can have students that are chronically scoring below 50, should be failing, and they manage to squeak by doing 1 or 2 assessments that manage to bump them over the line. And that's not acceptable. There are no floor grades in life, and we need to start teaching our children to be accountable. We need to go back to homework being counted, because right now it's not. So students can just choose not to do it, score failing scores all semester long, and then in the last week of the quarter, they can go do a bunch of assignments that they missed, turn it in, get just enough credit to pass. And that's not okay. We need to be holding them to higher standards. We need to be doing more. We need to get rid of the floor grade policy, and we need to reinstitute grades for homework. I also think we should be having final exams. Unfortunately, we've been dealing with so much standardized testing that at the end of the year, there's no time for exams. Not a fan of that either, and I would like to see that change.
I also am against the floor 50 policy. What we're teaching kids is that failure is acceptable and that they are failures. Let's face it, if a student gets a 34 and you say that's okay, we're going to bump it up to a 50, 50 is still a failing grade. What does that say to the student? We need to be working on merit. We need to be encouraging them to move forward to get the better grades. If they are failing consistently, then the teacher needs to look into why. That is part of her job. Why is this student failing? Why are they not doing well? Is it because of sleep issues, parent problems, or was the material above the level where they've been prepared? A lot of times we have students coming to us that are unprepared to learn whatever level we're going to teach. You might have to back up a bit for it. So we need to be looking into why they're failing rather than just giving them, oh, well, here's 50%. It needs to be something that makes them value the education. They need to be able to get out, get the education, and be able to compete in the world. This is critically important, and we need to get rid of floor 50.
Thank you, ladies. Carrie, what committees would you be interested in serving on if you were elected to the school board, and why those particular committees?
First and foremost would be special ed, because I've spent 50 years with special education. I was one of the teachers back in 1973 that helped write IDEA. It was known then as Public Law 94-142. I have had a lot of experience, educational classes in educational law dealing with special education. So yes, that would be my first choice. The next choice that I would have would be the curriculum committee. I have taught every subject at middle and high school level, including French and Spanish and a little bit of German. The exceptions being calculus and physics, because I don't like those, I'll be honest. But I have taught every single subject. So at that point, I know what's in the curriculum and I know what needs to be covered. So those would be two of the areas that I would most like to be on.
Okay, thank you. Megan?
I would most like to be involved with the HDTR, which is the Human Development, well, I'm getting the acronym wrong. The Human Resources. Recruiting, retaining, training our staff is an absolute priority for me, because that, from all things flow from that. When we have the best, highest quality trained teachers, we will have the best students. Also, the discipline committee. I feel like discipline needs a bit of a wake-up call in Loudoun County Public Schools. We are seeing far too much assaults, too much vaping. My high school son, who's in 10th grade, doesn't go to the bathroom at school unless it's an emergency because he can't stand the vaping in the bathrooms. We complained about it to the school. Our answer was, well, we don't allow them to vape. No kidding, we know you don't allow them, but they're doing it anyway. So what can we do about that? So discipline, I feel like we need to be holding our students accountable, teaching them things that will be acceptable and not acceptable in their workplace. They can't come and, just decide to be disrespectful to their boss. They can't decide to go smoke in the bathroom at work when there's, rules against it. What are we teaching our children about obeying rules if we don't hold them accountable for their own actions? So I think we need more consistent discipline policies across the county. And I would like to be involved in that and our human resources.
Okay, thank you. Megan, the bus transportation continues to be a problem, even after the staggered schedule was implemented. The staggered schedule also had unintended consequences of not having buses available for field trips or after-school program busing. How would you address the busing problems within the Loudoun County Public Schools?
Talk about an issue near and dear to my heart. My 6-year-old, we live 5 minutes from the school. She gets on the bus at 6:38 in the morning, which for a 6-year-old is completely unacceptable. I mean, it's outrageous. Part of the problem is that we don't have enough bus drivers. So that's part of that human resources piece, recruiting and retaining more drivers. That's basically what it comes down to. We have to have the staff. We can change the buses all the live long day, but if we don't have the staff to drive those buses, to be at those stops, we can't just pull them out of nowhere. So we need more bus drivers. So what can we do to attract more bus drivers? We can discuss what benefits are being offered. We can look at pay rates, see how they're comparing to other counties. How are they keeping bus drivers? Let's take some examples, find the things that work best and implement them so that we can recruit more bus drivers so our children don't have to be at the bus stops at ungodly hours in the morning or missing out on field trips or transportation to sports because we don't have anybody available. Thank you.
I would support changing the times that children are picked up. I would support having high school students start earlier. And I know that people say, oh, well, they learn better later. I don't think 2 hours difference is going to make a big difference. They would start earlier in the morning. They would finish their classes about 2:30. They'd be able to participate in sports while it's still daylight outside and all their practices. They would be able to get a job, or if you had a parent who needed the older child home to take care of the children when they got off the bus, you would have your child there to do that. So starting high school first, earlier, would be a better solution, and having the elementary schools move to the last pickup, which allows them to get more time to get ready, because a lot of times parents are out there trying to get their students ready to go to school while they are trying to get ready to go to work, and then the students are standing there on our back roads in Catoctin in the dark. The other issue that I would support is using smaller buses. They're difficult places in many of our roads in Catoctin District. The larger buses have trouble getting around, they're narrow, they're twisty, there are ditches, and it's very difficult. So if we could attract more bus drivers and use smaller buses, that would help with getting the students to school safely and at a better time frame.
Well, thank you, ladies, for your answers. We appreciate you sharing your answers with us tonight, but we have gone through them and we are out of time. I do want to thank you for being here. Thank you to the PTAs and thanks to all of the candidates here this evening. Our democracy at the local level is an important part of governing, and we need good people to represent us. I hope this was helpful to you all, and I hope that you found some new information that you probably didn't have before. Since you're going to have to refresh my memory, who started?
I did.
Okay, then Carrie, you will finish. You will begin the finishing.
First of all, we have a democratic republic, not a democracy. I'm sorry, that is my history teacher mode kicking in. So I always feel compelled to say that. We do not have a democracy. We have a representative republic here. What I would like to say is that I do have the experience. I have looked at all of these areas. Megan and I agree on several of them. The importance of the children and the learning being the focus of what should be happening in our schools and the support of our teachers. So what it comes down to at the very end is who would you like to have representing you on the school board, an educator or a substitute? No?
Megan, are you finished? I'm sorry, Carrie. Are you? Megan?
Okay. First and foremost, I'm a parent, like you. I'm a parent with 4 children, as I said, and one in first grade. So I'm going to be around for a long time, whether I'm on the school board or not. And I am invested in making sure that our kids get the education to prepare them for the real world, the world that we're living in now. I would like to, by the way, thank Harper Park, Cool Spring, Tolbert, and Smarts Mill for offering us the opportunity to talk tonight, and Madam Mayor for moderating. Appreciate it. At the end of the day, I am, like you, a parent. I am an educator. It is a disservice to those of us who are in schools every day to say that we are not actually educators. There is so much that goes into being an educator, whether you have a license or not. We have librarians, we have custodians, we have reading resource specialists, we have hall monitors, we have cafeteria ladies, and all of these people are part of the educational system, and we can't function without them. They're all educators. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, and basically, at the end of the day, all I want to say is that I want to put our teachers and our students first and fix the broken communication system between schools and families. I've seen that a community school model can work, where students feel included, where parents feel like they're part of a community, where we know the kids' older brothers and sisters, and we know their younger ones. A community school community-based schools are what we need, and I believe that we can accomplish them by working together.
Thank you. Let's give a round of applause for our candidates tonight. Thank you very much for all your information, everybody. Thank you, everyone, and please drive safely.
End. End. They'll make you have to go.